Good evening once again and a very warm welcome to Rwanda Television News. My name is Gloria Mutesi. Starting us off tonight, pandemic experts have urged people in Rwanda to practice preventive measures strictly, lest existing restrictions are tightened. This comes as in the past week since travel restrictions between districts were imposed. 19 people have died of COVID and the virus has infected more than 900 people. Saishinore has more.
The Nyagasambu market that is located between the districts of Gasabo and Rwamagana has remained operational despite the travel restrictions, but is not nearly as busy as it used to be. My husband is sitting at home and we are not getting any money. Even though the little money I make helps, it does not satisfy us at all, and there are many things we are unable to do. Things had started to improve in the last few weeks and months, and we were getting money. Now produce is going bad here in the stalls because we have no customers. We should pray that the infection rate slows down so that the restrictions can be loosened. This is obviously a problem because we must make a living, but there is also the worry that we may take the infection home. We have therefore decided to remain close to home and look for work there while we wait to see how things turn out. While the travel restrictions between districts are not always respected, the National Police says the average number of people caught not respecting the preventive measures has reduced by half since the new restrictions came into effect, from 4,000 to 2,000. Pandemic experts have urged people in Rwanda to practice preventive measures strictly, lest existing restrictions are tightened even more. One of the three key pillars when fighting any pandemic, not just COVID, includes isolating infection areas. Asking people to remain in their districts helps because the reality in one is not necessarily what you will see in another. People must focus their efforts on protecting themselves because this is something we are all doing for the benefit of the society. It does not matter where you are, Kigali, Musanze or elsewhere. If we do what we are supposed to, the next check will reveal that the infection rate has slowed down and it can be achieved. 2 weeks is more than enough, but if we give this virus another opportunity, then the decisions could be different. Government officials are standing fast behind their decisions and stress that protecting people's lives is always the priority. Concerning Rwanda, well, I don't think it is something regular because if there are people in this world that understand the value of life, we would have to be ranked first. Here, even one life matters, and that stems from what we experienced in our past, and taking decisive action is linked to that. This is not something that just politicians or leaders understand, but the regular population as well. And you see this in the way people implement these measures, that protecting life is important. In the week since the latest restrictions began, 28,302 COVID-19 tests have been carried out and 936 positive results found with 19 fatalities. Between January 4th and 11th, active cases jumped from 1,927 to 2,686, while fatalities increased from 105 to 124.
In order to increase agricultural productivity, some farmers asked the government to include fertilizers and pesticides on the Nkunganire program due to their high cost and issues of pests that destroy their crops. The African maize stalk borer is one of the commonest pests that affects people's plants, especially maize. This pest eats up the root of the maize plant and it doesn't yield anything, as these farmers explain. The pest hides itself in the soil, so when we plant our crops and we wait for the crops to grow, but in vain. We plant again, but still they don't grow. That's why you see some maize crops have grown and others have not. These pesticides are expensive for some of us, so we request that they are included on the Nkunganire program so that we can benefit and get them from there. According to the National Institute of Statistics, in 2020, 2 out of 10 farmers sprayed their crops in the air planting season, while 1 out of 10 farmers in the next season sprayed pesticides. And in the seed planting season, 6 out of 10 farmers were the ones who were able to spray the pesticides. The Rwanda Agricultural Board Deputy Director General of Agriculture Research and Technology, Dr. Bochagu Charles, argues that the public's demand that these pesticides be included in the Nkunganire program is justified. We believe these pesticides have a very important role because they help increase the productivity, and so the request has been made and we are looking into it because it also requires a budget. So we are looking into it so that we can support the farmers. A report by the National Institute of Statistics shows that in 2020, farmers used more organic fertilizers than inorganic fertilizers. In the growing season A, there were 7 out of 10 farmers. In season B, 6 out of 10 farmers, and during season C, 8 out of 10 farmers were the ones who used organic fertilizers in their farming. Agricultural expert and lecturer at the University of Rwanda, Dr. Celestine Ukozehasi, argues that non-use of the industrial fertilizers affects the crops.
Ifumbire ya ire ifite 46% y'umunyu wa azote igihingwa gikenera kugira ngo kibashe gukura neza.
One type of fertilizer has 46% of the nutrients crops need to grow well. That means 46 out of every 100 kgs of the fertilizers are essential nutrients. Only between 2 and 4% of the nutrients are found in regular manure. That means you would need 5 tons of the best manure to get 100 kilograms of these essential nutrients. To get the equivalent from industrial grade fertilizer, you only need 300 kilograms. The difference between the two would be like giving your child black tea versus milk. In 2017 and 2018, farmers were using 33 kilograms of fertilizer per hectare, while the country aims to have 75 kilograms per hectare, not later than 2024. A man has been arrested by the Rwanda Investigation Bureau in Ramagana district. He is suspected of killing his brother-in-law using a machete and injuring the victim's mother. Sessionary has more.
The suspect, Emmanuel Semana, is in custody following an incident that involved his victim, Egide Rumanzi. Egide had been living with a woman, Christine Mukazi Tony, as man and wife, though they were not legally married and had been having domestic problems for some time. On Monday night, apparently during a heated argument, Egide decided to lock himself and his wife in their house and set it alight. Christine did not survive the blaze, but Egide did. And this is when Emmanuel, her brother, came and hacked him to death and injured his mother in the process. Their neighbors are in shock. I arrived asking what was going on, and as I turned the corner, I saw Egide lying on the ground in front of the door. I felt my hair standing on end. And then I moved forward a bit more and saw his wife's body. We heard their screams, and the entire neighborhood came out of their houses and ran there to see what was going on. We found the woman already dead and the man still alive, but it looked like he was dying right there in front of our eyes. We then called the local security organs and officials, and they came too. We are shocked beyond words by what happened. The man had locked all the doors and it was hard to get to them. By the time we did, they were already burning. Local residents told us that even though they knew that Egide and Christine had been facing problems at home, efforts had been made by the community to reconcile them, and even local officials and the police had been notified and spoken to the couple, resulting in what they thought was progress being made to resolve their differences, which is why they did not see this coming. The sector executive secretary confirmed this, saying it looked like the couple's relationship was on the mend and that no one imagined it would end like this. Emmanuel Semana is now going to face justice for what he did in the wake of the tragedy.
Ribu ikaba yafashe Semana ikaba yamufunze ubungubu akaba afungiye.
RIB has arrested Semana and he is being held at our station of Kigabiro. Semana also lightly injured Annunciata Mukakalisa, Rumanzi's mother. Preliminary investigations indicate that Rumanzi decided to set his house alight with him and his wife in it because of domestic disputes. The disputes had been ongoing for some time. The spokesperson of the Rwanda Investigation Bureau also urged couples struggling with similar problems of domestic disputes to seek assistance from the relevant authorities before it is too late. If found guilty, Emmanuel Seymana now faces between 15 and 20 years in prison.
In other news, industrialists who use recycled bottles say this is becoming hard to find and thus affecting the consumer prices. However, the Rwanda Standards Board says that they should seek lasting solutions to cleaning and recycling the bottles. Fiona Mbabazi now reports.
A cross-section of those who own alcoholic factories say that it is getting hard to get materials to store in their drinks. The bottles or the bottle cups are not made in Rwanda and these are imported. They are expensive, and if they can return these bottles to us, then it will be great. The problem is that we are not allowed to reuse these bottles. But if we wash them well and reuse the bottles, then I think this will also reduce the prices that most customers are also lamenting that our made in Rwanda drinks are expensive. At times we order the bottles, but some come when they are broken and have other issues, and we cannot resend them, as that is another cost which will automatically be felt by our consumers. The other challenge is that getting these products during the pandemic is very hard. Jean-Pierre Rajeneza, who is the acting head of the certification unit at RBS, explains that proper hygiene that is standardized is expected if these bottles were to be reused. They can return the bottles, but proper and high hygiene procedures are expected and should be standardized. Those who are able to do this, then that will be great. However, there must be a proper system of returning these bottles to the factories, which includes secluding the broken ones and noting which is safe to reuse. The Rwanda Standards Board also adds that this will need proper technology and machinery if all this was to be achieved.
Thank you, Fiona, for that report. Now, those who use the community-based health insurance, commonly known as Mituelle de Santé, are wondering how they will contribute for the year 2021 to 2022 and how much they will pay. It is while the revised Ubudehe categories will not be used to consider health insurance contributions. At the savings and credit cooperatives, commonly known as SACCOs, and at other areas where Irembo services are offered and other health insurance payment centers, some residents have come to pay their dues for the next year, 2021-2022. They say they normally pay the insurance fees in January, so by the time the new insurance year clocks, they are cleared. They are now in a dilemma of not knowing the amount of money a family member will pay because it will no longer be based on the Ubudehe categories, and whoever tries to pay is told that the system has not yet been open to allow payments. We should have paid by now, but we don't know how much we are supposed to pay because we used to pay considering our Ubudehe categories. Every family member used to pay 3,000 Rwanda francs. Even if you get the money, you are unable to pay. They tell you to go to Irembo, and we end up misusing the money. We knew that we would pay as usual, where the government used to pay for those in the first category, whereas those in the second category paid 3,000 Rwanda francs. We don't know if it will continue that way. Please inquire the answers for us. If it's January and we don't know the amount we're supposed to pay, then it's a problem. SACCO managers and others who offer insurance payment services say the only option is waiting. We tell those who come that we are ready to help them as soon as the system is ready, and we tell them to keep the money on their accounts. The Rwanda Social and Security Board, RSSB, says people should continue paying insurance fees considering their old Ubudehe categories. The director of CBHI, or Mobilization and Registration Division, Nigurirwa Deogracious, urges the agencies that receive insurance payments to help the citizens to pay as usual, adding that if anything changes, they will be notified. After paying for this year 2020-2021, can as well pay for the next year, 2021-2022. It's possible because as we talk, 69 have finished paying for the next year. We are still considering last year's scheme. If anything changes, we will inform the public. As nothing has changed, people will pay according to their previous ubudehe categories. SACCOs which are not updated to the current system, we will do a follow-up, and after paying for this year, you can pay for the next year as well. So far, the members of the community-based health insurance have made a total of 84.5% of their contributions for the year 2020-2021. On behalf of the entire news production team, thanks for your company tonight as always, and the plan is still the same, and that's to fight against the spread of the pandemic, each in our own capacity. I'll do my part, and I do encourage you to do the same by wearing your face mask diligently and keeping your distance. Otherwise, God bless you and keep you, and until next time, I'm Gloria Mutesi.